Good afternoon. Welcome back to the Impact Series, Gift to Impact Series. If you've been watching this throughout the whole week, you know, and if you haven't, then here's a little bit of information for you. That this is Gifts to Impact Week, a week where we are talking about literally just the impact and effect that we have been able to have on the community, and we've done that through a few different conversations with the grant recipients that we give grants to. We've done it with some of our donors and supporters that allow us to be able to actually drive that impact. We've done it with our technical assistance providers who are a strong and reliable team for our grant recipients and for GIFT as well, to make sure that our grant recipients and those businesses are continuing to grow to their maximum capacity. And so today we have a panel where we are the future of it, the next step. And so if you know much about us, you know that, or if you know one thing about us, you know that we raise money, we give out grants to Black-owned businesses on the East Side. And the other thing that people may not know is that we also give out a lot of technical assistance, right? We give, marketing, accounting, legal, and business coaching. But after that year is over, we have developed partnerships with the Greater Kansas City Black Chamber, with Lead Bank, and with Altcap, so that those resources don't stop, so that those business owners have, what we call a financial access pipeline to be able to continue to grow, continue to get the resources they need, and continue to get the help that they need. And so we have our partners from the pipeline here, and just talking about what that looks like and kind of what that will be into the future. So I want to go ahead and have you guys introduce yourself, talk about who you guys are with and what you do. So go ahead and start with Kelvin.
Well, good afternoon. My name is Kelvin Perry. I'm president of the Black Chamber of Commerce. We're an organization of Black professional and contracting members. The organization has been around since 1984. And we tend to be the organization of the more mature African-American owned businesses in Kansas City. We are comprised of roughly 80 or so African-American and some Hispanic firms. But a lot of the firms have been around for 20 or more years. We decided last year, after we saw the efforts being put forth by GIFT, that we would join GIFT's efforts, their enthusiastic efforts to make some things happen in terms of business formations. We were impressed with. And we had a conversation with Brandon, and we commended his efforts, and our board said we should join his efforts, and we developed a partnership with them, and actually started an initiative to support in a long-term way the furthering of his the technical services that GIFT provides as applicants. In addition to that, we wanted to look at some long-term measures in terms of developing equity capital to support those businesses that would enhance their success, where they would not be so dependent on debt financing for their businesses. And you'll hear a little bit more about that. But we're a partner for the long term with them, because their efforts are so important and impactful for the community long term. Thank you.
Yeah. Appreciate that, Kelvin. You guys, you definitely, we're a young organization, and I think you and I are connected probably when we were just a few months old, and so that is that support and just the belief in us is definitely been beneficial and appreciated. Ruben, I want to throw it to you. Introduce yourself. Let us know who you with, what you guys do.
Yeah, thank you, Brandon. Great to be here with you all. Ruben Alonzo, CEO of Altcap. We're a community development financial institution based here in Kansas City, Missouri. but serving all of Missouri, all of Kansas. And we've been very active in the kind of lending space, specifically targeting underserved, overlooked entrepreneurs, so small business owners that are kind of left out of the financial mainstream. A lot of our lending historically has been to minority-owned businesses, entrepreneurs of color, women-owned businesses, again, entrepreneurs that have historically had challenges accessing capital. But as a community development financial institution, or CDFI, we do more than just lending. We see ourselves as very much a platform to bring different resources, not just to small businesses, but to communities that don't have access to the resources and capital to support investments in those communities. So the opportunity to partner with G.I.F.T and Brandon, as well as Kelvin with the Black Chamber and Mario at Lead Bank, to us, really was very much aligned with just kind of our mission, impact-driven efforts to support economic development, wealth building, small business development in the communities that we serve. And what I really liked about Brandon's and Cornell's strategy with G.I.F.T is, I think one, I think they represented a kind of a very much a piece of the puzzle that was missing in terms of how to get entrepreneurs of color, Black entrepreneurs, access to grant capital that could support the start of a business, or support capacity building, technical assistance to help grow that business, build that business to where they can look at other opportunities for capital, and position them to be able to access other forms of capital, like a microloan from a CDFI or a bank loan from Lead Bank. So to me, it wasn't just about partnering with another organization like G.I.F.T, but also just being a part of, I think, a system that we can create together that creates an environment and a support system for Black entrepreneurs to support them at every stage of their business life cycle. So excited to be here and talking about this partnership, and thank you, Brandon, for including us in this effort.
Yeah. Thank you for coming, man. Definitely thank you for coming. Thank you for being a loyal partner for us. Mario, you want to introduce yourself? Talk about who you're with, what you guys do.
Sure. So I'm Mario, and I'm with Lead Bank. I'm a community development officer over here at Lead Bank, and as kind of been said, G.I.F.T is doing some amazing stuff, and Lead Bank is a financial institution with just 2 branch locations in Kansas City, but with the ability to kind of adjust and meet the community where it needs to be met when it comes to lending and financial access. So to meet an organization like G.I.F.T, and to echo kind of some of the things that Ruben said, as far as missing piece for what some of our business owners here in the Metro needed, especially Black-owned businesses, to help them kind of get their footing and get themselves prepared for and growing as a business. We're excited to figure out how we could take the pieces that Brandon has put together and kind of help create that third leg in cooperation with Altcap, because when it comes to businesses, they need a strong accountant, they need a strong legal team, and then I always say that the third piece that every business owner needs is a bank or access to capital. And so excited to play that third leg in cooperation with Ruben and Altcap to make sure that we're meeting the businesses that G.I.F.T works with needs as far as access to capital goes, and growing their business. So super excited to be a part of this panel today, and to be a partner with G.I.F.T and the amazing things they're doing. Yeah.
Definitely excited to have all of you guys here, and this partner. I mean, this partnership is I believe that us working together is crucial, for the success of the people that we serve. And so I think in all of the one-on-one conversations that we've had, I've always said that G.I.F.T is not the be all end all. We are a first step. We're a step in a financial system that we felt like that actually was missing here in Kansas City, and so it's important for us. We feel like it's important for us to work together so that we can get people from that step 0 to step 10. And I want to kind of throw it back to Kelvin on this next question, and just what specifically, so what are you guys doing at the Black Chamber to help increase access to capital or to technical assistance for Black owned businesses, and why do you think it's important that we all come together and are working in synergy?
Oh, well, that's 2 questions.
It is. It was my next 2 questions, and I decided to combine them together.
Well, here, let me first let me acknowledge that there is I'd say there is a significant disparity in the formation rate of equity capital for investment in minority businesses and Black businesses, Black-owned businesses in particular, relative to business as a whole. We have to acknowledge that, and I think all of us here would acknowledge that. That being the case, we need to try to overcome that. And let me and I want to paint the picture of how it puts us at a disadvantage competitively. And because I'm a very competitive person, and we always look at how we compete and how we lead. And I've said this for many, many years. If you're going to play the game, you play it to win. And I'd like to see us leading. And when I say us, it's about Kansas City. I want us leading amongst our peers. And there have been so many reports that show we're not leading in terms of our development of African-American owned businesses. So there's something we have to do. We have to recognize we need to do a better job in developing, sustaining, maintaining, African-American owned businesses. Mm-hmm. What drew me to what I saw G.I.F.T was doing was a sort of gap you were feeling in terms of developing a way to sort of bridge this access to capital by way of grants. It's not what we really should be doing, to develop measures for raising equity capital, but nevertheless, it was a creative way to do it. Now, as we look at ways to mitigate or to remedy the problem, the chamber is always looking at new concepts and strategies. One of the things that, in addition to making a commitment, and I think a major commitment to G.I.F.T in terms of fundraising and helping G.I.F.T on its grants, and because we've done that, and we've done that officially and sort of formally with you. But along those lines, we continue to explore concepts and strategies that sort of defy conventional wisdom, if you will. One of those, and I'll just briefly talk about, it is something that we call a revolving access line. And Brandon, you may have heard me talk about it, but it's a strategy that sort of relies on support of our corporate affiliates in making funds available to the Black community to permit loans for the specific purpose of purchasing equity interests in Black-owned businesses. From this strategy, we sort of believe that what could emerge as a local model that would encourage Blacks to participate more fully in the investment culture. And from that, what we believe will happen is that our businesses will rely less on debt financing. It's pretty complicated, and it's something that we have spoken about since the 90s, but we couldn't gain any traction, if you will, from it. And I think with what you and Cornell have shown us, if you will, as a community, with what you've been able to do with grants, it may be time for us to revisit the concept, the strategy. So we're working on some things in that area because we don't believe that all of the emphasis being placed on debt financing is the answer. So I throw that out to you, in addition to the commitment that we've made to you in terms of fundraising and commitment to help you financially on the grants and on the technical services side. We're still exploring some really, really significant strategies with our corporate affiliates and hopefully with our banks in terms of this other strategy that has been out there and this concept that's been out there since 91 that we think will solve the equity side of the equation.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I definitely believe that we need a mix of equity and grants, and debt capital has its place. I think that equity and grants are the. I mean, if we are being intentional about reversing the impacts of systemically racist systems, then like you said, doing unconventional wisdom, stepping outside the lines is kind of where we need to be. But that's my thoughts on that. But yeah. I would throw it to you, Mario. Same question. What types of things are you guys doing over at Lead Bank to help increase access to capital for Black-owned businesses? And then why do you think it's important for for us to be collaborative in this way? You're muted, Mario. No problem.
Yeah. So kind of to your questions there. Again, Lead Bank is constantly looking for opportunities and ways to kind of get involved in the community. And so a couple of different approaches we've taken thus far has been like in the municipal contractors association that we got involved with. We were given lines of helping folks with contracts with the city, obtain lines of credit. We also got involved with the airport project, and again, similar situation there. To allow those folks with contracts at the airport to get the lines of credit they need so that they can cash flow their construction and projects that they have going on there. So there's just a couple of small things that we're doing. On a larger scale, obviously, we're constantly looking for opportunities and ways to plug in, and that's kind of how we see G.I.F.T playing a role in helping us kind of connect and be that that missing piece to what you guys have going on. So that, again, we can kind of figure out how do we get loans and capital into the hands of the business owners that G.I.F.T is working with, along with the Black Chamber, so that we can continue to help those businesses grow and do the things they've set out to accomplish. Because as those businesses succeed, to Kelvin's point, Kansas City succeeds, and as a local bank, that's number one on our radars. To be at the heart of the communities we're serving and figuring out ways to make Kansas City a better place to do business. So, yeah.
Ruben, throw it to you. What are same question? What are your thoughts?
Yeah. As a CDFI, we've been focused on the last couple of years, deploying capital, and particularly into communities, to small businesses that again fall out of the financial mainstream. But just deploying capital, isn't enough. I mean, I think it's important to, to understand how that capital is structured. So to Kelvin's point, and comments about debt financing, that works for some businesses. For other businesses, I think options like equity could be a better fit. So we've been doing a lot of work in the last year to really start to expand our definition of capital. While we typically provided debt financing, your kind of traditional term debt, 5-year loan, you pay principal and interest every month to pay back the loan until it matures. We've got a couple of new products that we're going to be launching that really start to change I think the structure of that capital and make it even more accessible, provide more flexibility to the small business, especially if you're a startup business or you have a business that's kind of seasonal in terms of revenues. So we just received an investment from the Kauffman Foundation to launch a revenue-based financing product. So this is, we think, going to be a game changer for small businesses, Main Street businesses, to be able to access more capital, more flexible capital that allows them to start and grow. So the way that our revenue-based financing product is going to work is, instead of a monthly principal and interest payment, we're going to essentially have you pay back the loan based on a percentage of your revenues every month. So that's kind of one way that, again, we're trying to innovate around how we deliver capital, but specifically to address those hurdles that a lot of small businesses, in particular minority-owned businesses, have with kind of your traditional asset-based lending, where you have to have some sort of collateral or something to secure that loan, and that can be a challenge with a lot of new businesses or businesses that or entrepreneurs that don't have that those personal or business assets to start off with. So we're excited about that. We're also excited about our affiliate Equity Squared in helping to address the access to equity issue that a lot of entrepreneurs have, in particular minority entrepreneurs, Black entrepreneurs. Equity Squared, which is our impact investment affiliate, is going to be partnering with Altcap on some of our lending going forward, where we're going to be providing not just debt financing, but also an opportunity for equity financing to a lot of the small businesses that we work with. So Anthony Williams is leading Equity Squared right now, and he's just kind of taken on a role with Equity Squared this month, and is excited to kind of get out there and talk to more small businesses about how he can bring more access to equity capital to a lot of small businesses. And Equity Squared is also part of this partnership through Altcap. So we see them as another piece in this kind of system of creating a system of access to capital for Black entrepreneurs, be it a grant or a loan, or now potentially an equity investment.
Yeah.
He kind of triggered something for me there as Ruben was talking that I forgot to mention as well, and that's that Lead Bank is also unique in that we do also offer venture capital loans. So to that point, we are willing to look at equity positions as a form of fundraising or capital access for businesses as well. And I think that is something that's a little bit different than other banks in the area. And so that is something else that that we look to do and can do from an access to capital standpoint.
Yeah. Is that a new program? Has that been around for a while? Or?
It's been around for a while. Our CEO, actually, that's kind of where his expertise lies, and so it's something that he has shaped and created in his time here. And it's like I said, it's a much more unique product and a different avenue for a business owner to take when it comes to offering up equity as a way of accessing the funds that you need to grow your business. And it's definitely a unique approach for a bank to take that approach as well, as far as creating ways for businesses to access capital.
Yeah, I'll say, I mean, this all goes back to, I think, Kelvin's point too about, I think the heart of the issue here is business formation. We just need to have more more small businesses starting. And I think, by providing these options to access the resources and capital is only going to help that.
Yeah, I mean, so I definitely I agree with the the influx of small businesses, helping to increase the ability to give out some grants or to give out money to some small businesses and increase access to capital. I also think that when a business even a startup business that's accessing capital likely has a challenge in accessing even these creative financial products in their first 2 years, right? Like there's still a lot of grinding that kind of has to happen. And when it comes to the inability to access capital, the inability to create generational wealth, the wealth gap leading to a credit gap, I think that all of those are challenges as to why we can't really get businesses from the day one starting to their year two where they're able to or even their year one where they're able to qualify for some of even these more innovative practices. But that is what we are for. That's one of the reasons we're here. Like I said, first step in this financial system. I want to throw it back to Ruben on this next question, and it's not. I don't really keep it a secret that I'm pretty aggressive on banks, and so if you ask me, I feel like we're addressing a problem. No, that's not. I don't even know why I said that. Because I don't feel like I know we are addressing a problem that the banks played a large role in creating, and so But I always commend Lead Bank for being one of our biggest banking supporter is and has been Lead Bank. And I'm curious, of you guys' thought process, and to potentially it differs from mine, but your guys' thought process on the role that banks play in creating access to capital for underserved entrepreneurs. Ruben, can I throw that to you first?
Okay. Yeah, I think they play a big part, and we've certainly demonstrated how they can play a big part just in the last 2 years with the efforts that we had here in Kansas City Metro to support small businesses during COVID. For us, we don't see banks. Well, we want to tell banks. We always tell banks, like, we're not trying to compete with you. We just want to partner with you to kind of help extend your reach into communities that we want you to serve more and to reach more businesses. And the way they can do that, and the way they're a great partner for us, is a couple ways actually. One is providing us the capital to make the loans into the communities or to the small businesses that they can't. Banks work in a very regulated environment, and they don't have a lot of times the flexibility to provide the financing a lot of small businesses need. So we have that flexibility as a CDFI. We have that ability to do very kind of unconventional types of financing and to modify loans and things like that to give small businesses that additional kind of room to pay back that loan if they have a bad month or something like COVID happens. So that's where we've had an opportunity to really develop strong partnerships with banks to allow them to meet their CRA goals by investing and working with CDFIs like Altcap and kind of helping deploy capital into communities, into small businesses that may just be, again, overlooked or underserved by traditional financial institutions. So I think banks definitely play a role and definitely did over the last couple of years with us and supporting a lot of small businesses here. But I think there's more that can be done. I think the Community Reinvestment Act reform could open a door for banks to be more involved and more effective in serving a lot of those communities and small businesses that had historically have had challenges accessing capital from traditional financial institutions.
Yeah. Mario, what about you?
I mean, Ruben, as usual, touched on a lot of good points there. And, people who know me, and for those of you getting to know me, know that, I don't sugarcoat the role that banks should be playing, the role that banks currently play, and the obstacles that creates for the minority communities, not just in the metro area here in Kansas City, but across the country. We're dealing with, laws and regulations that have existed for quite some time, all of which have, created ways of, discriminating or not necessarily lending to people based, on their merit alone. And because of those regulations, banks have been able to, to either have to follow what the government regulations required, or not necessarily fulfill what was at the heart of what the laws were created to address. To Ruben's point on CRA, we now know, and it's been a long time where banks have to disclose the information on their mortgage lending practices and whether or not there's anything that could be construed as discriminatory in those. And that's great and fantastic, and has done wonders as far as giving access to mortgage loans to people regardless of race or color. But when you get into the business realm, those same laws and regulations aren't as stringent, and banks don't have to show how many of the loans or loan applications for minority businesses they receive, how many of those get approved, how many of those get declined, and there isn't really any type of any way of checking to see if it is in fact discriminatory or biased in any way when it comes to the business side of things. And I think that's contributed to the to the gap that exists for minority businesses accessing capital, and for business owners to achieve their goals and to be able to grow in that area, because it's not as regulated, it's not as as focused on as the personal side of lending goes when it comes to banking. And so banks play a huge role in helping to create and bridge that gap that currently exists and that needs to be addressed. And I came to Lead Bank because they have that desire and that ability to help bridge those gaps and to help address those inequities that exist, and to hopefully forge relationships like this, and to continue to find others, and to continue to grow and create opportunities for our minority businesses here in the metro to grow and progress in a way that they should have been able to in the past, should be able to now, and definitely into the future, so that we can see not see every business, black, white, brown, grow and succeed in a way that they should have and should be able to, based off of their ability as a business to generate revenue and to grow and to be a presence in their communities and in their neighborhoods. And I think to your point, and to that question, banks play a huge role. I mean, that's where the capital is, and partnerships with organizations like Altcap are a big step in the right direction. Partnerships with G.I.F.T are a big step in the right direction. But ultimately, it's gonna fall on banks to be making those sizable loans that need to be made, and giving the access to capital that needs to exist for businesses to truly grow and succeed, especially minority and black-owned businesses.
Yeah, I also say that partnerships with places like Altcap and G.I.F.T are definitely great steps. I've met with probably 20 local banks, and we, out of those 20 local banks, we probably have maybe three. We have one banking partner and have gotten a little bit of support from about 3 banks. And so, which is one of the reasons I'm highly critical of banks, because a partnership with us may be a step in the right direction, but for some reason they're not stepping. But that's not where this conversation was going. Kelvin, question to you.
Well,
what banks do you think, what roles do you think banks play in getting in closing the racial wealth gap, creating access to capital?
Yeah, as the leader of a Black organization, let me just say that I certainly would not sugarcoat it at all, and I think they play a significant role. Um, a national culture, I believe, rooted in anti-Black attitudes, systemic and personally mediated racism has resulted in the instability of Black communities, not just in Kansas City, but as Mario said, across the United States. And I think our banking system, in alignment with those systems of anti-Black oppression, has contributed to the long-term economic instability of the Black community. And that's just straight up. And as an organization that has been a signatory to, in opposition to the two latest big bank mergers, because we're active in this area, um, I believe that the banks have just a very, very critical role to play in correcting this historic injustice. And there is an urgent need for our local banks through CRA 1977, their philanthropic giving and investing to provide local Black-led nonprofits larger and longer funding commitments. This would include multi-year funding for general operating and capacity building support, coupled with program funding to back existing community design strategies. And I say community design strategies that would include programs like G.I.F.T, because it's a grassroots community design effort to better the Black community and make it sustainable. Um, I think it would also include setting aside measurable funding for greater investment for Blacks to help build small businesses and to provide affordable housing and other resources to provide sustainability. These are things that uh, the CRA Act of 1977 said banks should be doing. Now, they figured out all kinds of ways to skirt the responsibilities under CRA. And I think Mario knows what I'm talking about. But there needs to be accountability. And I think there needs to be a local model, and amongst some of us here sitting at the table with our local banks, where we set forth some pillars in these categories where they're supposed to be responsible to their customers, where we can design some measures of their commitments, and they're monitored to see that we're having an impact, particularly in their lending, specifically to Blacks and Browns and their businesses in the Kansas City community. Unless and until we do that, I don't think we're going to see any measurable changes in terms of their commitments. They're doing this in other cities, and I think we would be remiss if we did not sort of demand that we develop that kind of relationship with our banking community in Kansas City. We have Black-owned businesses in Kansas City have persistently faced difficulty in raising external capital. And some of it can be related to credit worthiness, but a lot of it has to do with other measures. And they can be totally tied to racial biases. And I think to your credit, Brandon, I think you laid it out very early when you launched G.I.F.T. You talked about the redlining, you talked about those other measures that have been supported by the government and really embodied in the strategies that and policies that were undertaken by the banking community. So I think it would be I think it would be just for the banks to step up and make a strong stand in terms of the support that's needed to restore our communities and to help us, those of us who are pushing forward to restore and stabilize our communities. So that's me. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I'm going to call it like it is, and that's what I do.
No, and to your point, there's been lots of efforts across the country as far as diversity supplier initiatives and holding businesses accountable for their diversity supplier efforts as far as hiring minority-owned businesses for their various supplier pieces. But to your point, Kelvin, there is no diversity lending program, if you will, to hold banks accountable for their minority business loans. CRA doesn't address minority efforts in the business realm. It only addresses income and based on only a small business and income tracks, and it doesn't separate that out as far as are those small business loans and small farm loans, are those to minorities? It's just purely revenue size and things of that nature. So it has, to your point, it's done nothing to address the racial inequality in small business lending, but merely addresses the fact that banks should be lending to small businesses, but doesn't necessarily designate what those business owners have to look like. Where they're located, somewhat, yes, and then revenue size is the bigger piece. So, I mean, to your point, there's plenty that can be done to create, I think, that same kind of push that exists in the diversity supplier realm to make that concerted effort in the diversity lending realm. And to Ruben's point earlier, with the CRA reform, that might hopefully take a step in the right direction of doing that. But also, Kelvin, to your point, if you can get community groups and places and businesses together to start kind of pushing for that, I think that is another route that can be taken to make sure that banks are meeting that need in a strategic way, and not just checking their CRA boxes so that they can move on, and put that behind them, but to make a concerted effort in minority communities as far as business lending goes. And I think that would be an exciting thing to see, and I think something that is definitely could be of benefit to the community as a whole.
Yeah, I think that's a good point about banks, not just seeing them as like financial institutions, but I mean they're major corporate stakeholders or community stakeholders in our city, and I think Lead Bank punches above its weight in terms of how it engages the community and really is active in the community, not just supporting small businesses, but being involved in other things that support community and economic development. I think we need to ask our banks, like the rest of our corporate community, to be more involved, whether it's education or affordable housing or just other health issues that face our city. I think banks as significant institutions in our community have a role to play in being more engaged in all parts of our community.
I definitely, I agree with all that. Kelvin mentioned multi-year funding to Black-led organizations to grow capacity. Like that seems like a foreign concept. I can't imagine that happening. Anyway, banks. I feel like I often feel like banks try to get involved in education, and what I've realized is that if I give you the option to give me money or to give me wisdom, you will try to give me your wisdom. And so especially when what I really need is money. I can't eat off of wisdom.
Just as a heads up or an FYI, Brandon, we get more credit from the CRA standpoint by giving you wisdom than we do for giving you money.
Oh, I know.
And that's
why if you give us the option, we're going to take the wisdom, because we need to be giving, according to CRA, we have to be doing as much wisdom sharing as we can.
Yeah.
And so that's why that's why when given the option, we're going to take that route. So
yeah, and then it's also a human thing, you know, a lot like coming before being in this space and being just in nonprofit, you know, I often find a lot of people try to get involved in nonprofits and try to help nonprofits. And one of the things they ask is, okay, well, what do you need? I know you need donations, but what else do you need? And you know, what a nonprofit needs to run is the capital to be able to run. Like, that's the first thing.
Sure.
Or else they shut their doors. And so like it's just it is a large thing. And just in general, people will try to give you wisdom and assistance in lieu of money whenever they can. So I definitely, Kelvin and I have had many conversations, and one of my big critiques about the CRA is the education, what I call an education loophole. But that was not the next topic. That just kind of.
I'd like to make one other comment though about the funding that I mentioned for not-for-profits. It was not so much tied to CRA as it is tied to the banks and their foundations, the philanthropic side of it.
Yeah, and the philanthropic side of banking comes into play, and the foundations come into play, so that they're not, you know, they call it, that's to Brandon's point, that's another, call it a CRA loophole. Because when you look at the banks giving from the foundation side, the foundation isn't graded from a CRA perspective because it's looked at as a separate piece. Now, the bank can take credit for any CRA qualified donations that the foundation makes, but that's a way for banks to be able to make donations outside of the CRA realm without, call it the negative lens of that's not necessarily CRA qualified. And so it allows them to create that separation, and thus, you know, so it's one of those where they get the advantages of any CRA qualified donations, but they don't get the negative side of any donations made from the foundation level. You know, it's only the actual bank donations that get scrutinized on a CRA level. And so that is a way for banks, to your point, Kelvin, if that's where you're headed, to not necessarily have to make substantial donations in the CRA realm, because they do it on the foundation side, which takes away the scrutiny of the CRA lens for the banks themselves.
And my point is, very rarely are they making substantial contributions to Black-led nonprofits of any magnitude or any duration at all. And I've just looked at so many, and it's just harmful to us creating vibrant Black-led organizations with any capacity within our community to propel the community forward. Yeah. So enough on that, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, that good conversation around the, you know, kind of the accountability and the role that banks play in creating a new creating solutions to this you know, kind of broken financial system. You know, we're coming up close on wrapping up, and so we we just spent all this time kind of, I feel like tearing apart banks, but also the reality is that, you know, our motto is if 15,000 people gave $10 a month, right? Like we consciously and always have relied on the community to help support the work of G.I.F.T, support the impact, and you know, we have been able to give out, you know, over $500,000, 38 different businesses, 49 jobs created. We've seen businesses have growth of, you know, 50% in quarterly revenue to over 1,000% in quarterly revenue. And all of that is possible because of individuals in the community and the support that we get from our partners as well. And which means that the people that we are most accountable to is the community. And so, you know, I wanted to wrap it up with just a question to you guys about what is it that you would like to see? Like, what are your hopes to see from G.I.F.T in the future? And I'll throw it to you, Ruben. to kick us off?
Yeah, no, I think continuing to build that pipeline of Black entrepreneurs and Black-owned businesses, and to Kelvin's early point about small business formation, I think in the last few years, creation of Black-owned business has steadily increased, especially with women, and that's a good sign. But these businesses need to know that they're going to have the access to the resources and the capital to get started and to grow their business. So I think for you guys to continue to provide that first step, or to provide maybe not a first step, or maybe it's an existing business that just needs a grant and some technical assistance to kind of get through some specific challenges that they're facing in their business to be able to take their business to the next level. I think that to me is what I want to continue to see out of G.I.F.T, and being able to be the start of this process that we want to take these businesses through, and really kind of be the front end of that financial system that's going to be supportive to these small businesses, again, from at every stage of their business life cycle.
Yeah. Mario, what do you hope to see from G.I.F.T in the future?
Yeah, I mean, I'm loving what G.I.F.T is doing. Continuing to be that catalyst for businesses as they get going, I think is huge. I think it's definitely needed in the community. Being that reliable partner for us as a bank to connect us to the small businesses in the community that are moving and shaking. I think that's a huge benefit that I'd love to see G.I.F.T continue to be for us, so that we can be a part of that growth and progress in the community. As Ruben mentioned too, not just necessarily focusing on startups, but even established businesses, and helping connect those individuals who have been in business some time but have had struggles with, or maybe don't have their financials in order, and being a place for them to come and kind of get those things straightened out, so that we can take established businesses that already could qualify but just don't have their financials put together in a way that speaks the bank lingo. I think would be a huge benefit to the community as well. As much as I would love to be the go-to bank for everyone you're working with, working to get more banks involved, so that there's with competition comes opportunity, and the more banks we can get around this table, I think the more impact we can have in the community. So growing the number of banks at the table, I think, is also important as G.I.F.T moves forward.
Yeah. Kelvin, how about you? What do you hope to see us do in the future?
No, it's real simple. Just keep doing what you're doing. And I think we have to do a bit more in support of your efforts. I think we have to bring on more partners to support you on the technical side, the businesses, that is, because as they mature, they have different needs. It's similar to the dichotomy of businesses in the Black Chamber. We have very large businesses that have much different needs than the smaller businesses that we don't have many of. One of the criticisms I get often, and Ruben doesn't know this, but I talk to members of his staff often, and they always ask, why aren't we getting, we never get referrals from the Black Chamber to Altcap. Well, I think Ruben knows the answer to that. It has to do with the maturity of our businesses. Our typical Black Chamber member is not a typical client for Altcap. But I think as we take on more and more of the applicants from G.I.F.T as they move through, our professional service partner programs that are being set up and guided by Carla Barksdale, I think that those opportunities will present themselves, not only perhaps with Ruben, but with partners like Leeds Bank. And I must say that as you hear me make the criticisms of banks, one of the banks that we've always looked up to and we've always had a fine relationship with has been Leeds Bank. I want to put that on the table. But you're amongst a group or an industry that bears some criticism. But in terms of going forward, I think you guys have just done in the short period of time. I think your results have been phenomenal, and I have to commend you on that. I think it's incumbent upon your partners to enhance that pipeline of services outward and to enhance those for the survivability and the strengthening of those businesses that come through the program. And that's what I want to focus on, so we can assure the success of those businesses. You've shown us that it's possible to get them up and to get them started. I think it's incumbent upon us and those other providers around you, your partners, to enhance their survival and their success. And we're all in with you, at least the Black Chamber is. As I said earlier, we've made a commitment to you, and I intend to stand by that. And we're very proud, incredibly proud of the work that G.I.F.T has done on behalf of the Black community and on behalf of the city of Kansas City, Missouri. So I want to go on the record saying that exceptionally proud of the work that you've done.
Well, thank you, Kevin. I definitely appreciate that. And like I said, you guys have definitely been one of our first partners and consistent partners, and appreciate the long standing support. And I also echo, like I said before, Lead Bank has been our strongest banking partner, biggest banking partner. And I would never apologize for my criticism of banks, but I would say that I am very curious about the disconnect that I have with some of the with some potentially some of the regulations and some of just some of the outlooks and viewpoints from some of our other local banks. And so if you're, and I say that to say, if you're a banker watching this, reach out, help me understand. Let's have a conversation.
And Brandon, I'm happy to impart my wisdom with you as far as CRA and how to approach the banks in that regard, free of charge, of course.
Yeah, absolutely. And on that note, if you're watching this, and if you're an individual watching this and you want to do your part to help increase access to capital to these small Black-owned businesses, specifically on the East Side, right here in Kansas City, you can go to kansascitygift.org and make a donation. Sign up to become a $10 monthly donor. Like I said, our motto is if 10,000 people donate or 15,000 people donate $10 a month, and we have been able to create the number of jobs that we've created with around 2,000 people jumping in and donating. So if we truly do get 15,000 people, there's no limit to the impact that we can have on Black businesses and on the city of Kansas City at large. And so if you're looking to do your part, jump in, donate today, help us get these businesses through this pipeline, from G.I.F.T to Altcap to the Black Chamber and all the way through Lead Bank. So appreciate everybody for tuning in and watching this. Look at that. We're gonna make it just right at 1 hour. Time perfectly.
That's your military training right there, Brandon.
Yeah. Love it.
All right.
You guys have a good one.